Welcome back. Matt Samudio here, and this is episode 3 in my series of videos on Slackware Linux and related topics. This episode is going to be about the TWM window manager, and just to review a little bit about what I'm hoping to kind of shoot for in this series of videos is I'm hoping to show a bit about kind of the Unix-like experience and relating that to Slackware Linux in particular, and kind of having a theme of how much can be done with very little. So TWM is definitely in keeping with that aim, and so let's go ahead and get into a little bit of background information. I have in this web page here is the Wikipedia entry for TWM. Nice little write-up. Couple of simple screenshots and the history of it. So TWM has been around for a long time. It's the kind of the stock or reference window manager that comes with X. And I believe, it says in the page here, somewhere around 1988 or shortly thereafter, it actually replaced UWM as the reference window manager that just gets distributed out of the box with X. I never actually saw UWM myself, but I, definitely used TWM both when I first started using X, and I've used it off and on, or quite a bit since. So I think probably one of the most important things to say about TWM is that it's very in keeping with the Unix sensibility around tools being very narrowly, tightly focused on just so much functionality, but doing what they do very, very well. And this notion is also reflected in, or it's at least implied in, kind of the way X is designed as well. Window managers in general were intended to do very little. They basically, their core functionality is to give you a way to manage the different windows on the graphical desktop, and whatever functionality wants to be associated with that. So again, pretty narrow focus of functionality, but enabling the tools, the window managers in this case, to do that narrow bit of functionality very, very well. And TWM certainly complies with that. So these little screenshots of this is kind of the stock TWM configuration. I actually have TWM running here, and it's running. I've done some configuration on it, so my setup doesn't look exactly like this. But let's go ahead and get into exploring a little bit. So the first thing that someone might notice when in getting into a TWM session is that the otherwise familiar concept of some kind of status bar across the bottom or across the top that one might be familiar with in other desktop environments is absent. TWM doesn't really give us anything like that. So the user might wonder, well, how am I supposed to? There's no start menu. There's how do I launch other programs? Well, TWM gives us a really intuitive mechanism for that, and it's find any open spot of desktop and left click, and it brings up a simple main menu. And this this menu is packed with you know, just what I've decided to put in it. The menu is completely configurable, and I'm going to show the configuration later. It's very easy to configure, and you can have submenus, things like that. And it's all very easy. You can create a a hierarchy of what you want to have at your fingertips in whatever structure you'd like. So very powerful and flexible. So the next thing is with other typical desktop environments, along with that kind of status bar that would possibly be across the bottom or across the top. One of the things that one might expect to see in those would be a series of buttons or icons that represent your open windows, giving you a place to select windows, your open windows from. And again, TWM doesn't really provide us with that at all. So, but TWM does provide another intuitive mechanism for accomplishing that, and it's the same as the left click on the desktop main menu, except it's the right click on the on any open desktop space, gives you a window list. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I can pick a window, and it it's kind of the same as picking a window from some other kind of list. Very intuitive. Now, what I find particularly flexible and powerful is about TWM is that because these menus are attached to clicks on the desktop, I get them anywhere I want. So if I'm doing something over here and I need my menu, I can right click or left click, and it's right at my fingertips. I can do them anywhere. I find that very very user friendly. Okay, so the next probably the next primary mechanism or features to talk about is and I think this is probably considered one of the primary jobs of a window manager, is what's known as the window decorations. And this is basically the stuff that the window manager is going to put on all windows. So in the case of TWM, it's a title bar with an Iconify button and a resize handle or gadget, whatever you call it. And then also there's this, notice when my window is active, there's a 1 pixel yellow border around it. That's configurable. You could set it to 0 pixels, which would basically eliminate it. And you can change the color of it. You can change the thickness of it. Make it 4 pixels wide. Then you got a fairly large border around the window. It's very configurable, and it helps visually identify what window. And also, you see the title bar changes a bit. And the colors involved are also very configurable. I just happen to set mine this way. And then the title bar itself, if you do a left click on it, very familiar behavior of it brings the window to the front. That's called raising the window. And if you click and hold and drag, it allows you to move the window. So again, very familiar behavior, very intuitive. So I can move the window like that. So I'm just going to briefly go into something that is a little different about TWM than most desktop environments, especially different than the Windows desktop environment. And that's kind of some unique functionality that you can get here. So Notice that this window here is in. Oh yeah, I guess I want to mention too the the window that is in focus or active. I have it configured to follow my mouse, so I don't have to click in a window to get it to be the active window. That is configurable. I could configure TWM to require a click in the window if I wanted to make it active. So, kind of a very nice side effect, or I guess not a side effect, it might be the primary effect of being able to activate a window without clicking in it. Notice the window that's active now is behind this other window. So I can actually type in the window and still have this one visible over the top of it. That comes in really handy, very powerful. So not only can I have the focus of the window or the active window be behind, I can actually grab and move that window behind the other window. And it's hard to overemphasize how powerful that can be as well. So let's say I'm doing this, and I realize I want to see the rest of this word here, but I don't want to have to do a bunch of shuffling of these windows to get to it. I just want to tweak it over a little bit and continue typing. Like maybe I'm typing some stuff. I'm reading this window and typing. I think you can see how powerful this can be. I mean, the kind of control it gives you over managing the positions and stacking of the windows, which is really what a window manager is all about, primarily. So, and this is a kind of functionality that is completely impossible in a Microsoft Windows desktop environment. And it's actually fairly, I won't say rare, but it's not a given in all of the Linux desktop environments or Unix desktop environments either. So this is something that TWM, provides out of the box with a couple of quick little configuration tweaks. So I just, and then one more little quick demonstration. So not only can I move this one around behind, but I can actually I can slide windows between each other. I mean, that's just way cool and very, very powerful. So another thing I've done here is I've added my own little menu. And this is if I right click on a title bar, this is a little menu that I created. And I created this menu primarily for this close item, which one of my pet peeves is the familiar little X button that's in the title bar in most desktop environments, and that button lets you click it to close the window. I hate that button. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally hit that while I'm reaching for something else on the title bar. To me, it's a terrible place for that functionality to basically close the window. I hate that. So I created this. So I have this. It's easily accessible with a right click in the title bar, and I think that's pretty intuitive too. Right click the title bar, and it's not the first menu item. So it's very hard to accidentally hit that. So, and then conveniently with that, there's a kill. In X Windows, the kill is kind of handy because this forcibly destroys a window in case whatever program the window is representing, that program may have hung or died or something. So you can forcibly destroy the window unconditionally and get rid of it off the desktop. And then the other thing that I wanted to show here is I added this lower item. And this comes into play really nicely with how this stacking order is already so powerful. But now, let's say I've got, I'm going to move this here. Now, let's say I actually want this window to be in front of this window. And I would normally have to move this window out of the way to get to the title bar. But in this case, since I've added this menu, I don't need to. I can lower this window, and then there we are. We have it. I can click it to the front, lower, lower. So I can very easily shuffle the stacking order of my windows, and yet I at the same time I still have the ability to preserve the stacking order. So the combination of this is extremely powerful. Now, I want to stress here that these are features that a lot of desktop environments are either not capable of, or how you would maybe set them up to do this is fairly elusive, certainly not common. And this isn't like some bloated, new, untested code base trying to provide new fancy functionality. This is very powerful, flexible stuff that's been here for a really long time in this tiny program. I mean, there's been thousands of people that have examined and gone through this code, and any serious tweaking that was done, has been done on it was probably completed a long time ago. This thing is rock solid. It never changes anymore. And like I said, it's been here for, almost forever. So stability and how clean and tight this is. I'm going to just give a glimpse about resource usage a little bit later too. It's very lean. You can't get really any more tight, clean, and lean than TWM in terms of a desktop environment. So just wanted to kind of stress that. So, okay. Talk a little bit about resizing. Now, I'm not going to show resizing in this video because I happen to run into there's just a very insignificant and isolated glitch, and it's very specific to recording the X desktop. So it only affects when I'm actually recording a video, like right now. And what that glitch is when resizing, the animation that occurs during resizing, for some reason, the way it's implemented, it suspends all the other desktop activity until the resizing is completed. And the effect that has, I mean, it doesn't really affect anything, in practical real-world usage of the environment. What it affects is when I'm doing a desktop recording, while the X activity is suspended during the resize, because the video recording is basically feeding off of the X activity, the recording is suspended. The audio isn't, but the video is. And the effect is basically a big skip in the video. And then if the skip is large enough, then the video and audio get out of sync, and it kind of ruins the video. So I'm not going to do that. But I will explain resizing. And the way TWM does its resizing is, again, very intuitive and very powerful. So the basic notion is you click and hold and drag off of this resize handle or gadget here. So once I click and hold down, the resize doesn't start immediately. I can actually move around and drag around inside the space of the window, and the resize doesn't start yet. And what this gives me is an opportunity to initiate resizing in a number of different ways. So the way that resizing is initiated is you push outward on the boundary of the window in the direction that you want to resize. So if I want to resize in the horizontal direction only, and let's say I want to resize out in or out on the left side, what I would do then is after I click and hold and drag, I would come over to this side and I would push out. And once I break the plane of the edge of the window, that is when resizing starts. And as long as I hold the button down, and continue to hold and drag, then this would resize out. If I wanted to bring it in, once I've started the resizing, then I can bring it in as well. So I can literally, click, hold, drag, break this plane, and now I'm resizing in this direction only. And that works on all sides of the window. So I can resize only horizontally, or I can resize only vertically, and I can also, resize both simultaneously by simply, breaking both planes, and then I'm resizing simultaneously. Now that's really powerful because some desktop environments you actually only have the option of grabbing a corner, and as soon as you grab it, you are resizing in both directions simultaneously, and that can make it actually very difficult if you really want to preserve height, or if you want to preserve width and only resize in one direction. And so TWM gives you all of those options. Again, extremely powerful. Default functionality right out of the box. I guess, enough said. So let me talk briefly about iconification. So the default iconification behavior is if you have a window, you click the iconification button, it actually kind of collapses down to a little strip. This is actually very similar to a feature that I like in other desktop environments known as window shading. And that's if you double click in the title bar, the window would kind of collapse up and all that's left is the title bar. Now, one of the reasons I find that feature very appealing is in some desktop environments, the iconification behavior can be a little bit inconvenient. And usually that's when, if you iconify the location of where the icon goes, you don't get a lot of choice in that. And it kind of warps over to somewhere rather inconvenient, meaning that you have to actually go somewhere specific to restore that window. So the window shading can be a really nice alternative because it happens in place. I need to get this window out of the way temporarily. I window shade it, do my thing, and then I just simply unwindow shade it to get back to where I was. That can be very convenient. While TWM, even though it doesn't do the window shading technically, it gives you this equivalent, and it's the default right out of the box. So, very nice thing. And then along with it, you also get the flexible and powerful behavior of separate tracking of the position of the icon and the window. So I can move the window and it does not disrupt the position of the icon. And I can similarly move the icon. And notice my placement of the icon is literally exactly where I want it. It doesn't warp to some predetermined location, especially not somewhere inconvenient. It goes exactly where I want it. And so, and I can change that without disrupting where the window is. So, out of the box behavior, very intuitive and very powerful. So let me quick talk about these things up here. So again, I get a lot of choice with some very simple mechanisms. These are called icon managers, and they are completely optional. I've configured a couple of them for myself, and so these give you the capability to kind of categorize and locate the iconification of windows into specific categories and these boxes that are positionable. So this one I configured to have any GVim session in it. So if I start up another GVim, you'll see that it shows up in here now. And if I if I bring up a file, I mean, even the icon shows what I'm editing, the path to it, and all that stuff. So I'm a developer, so I typically have a ton of editor windows open. I get them all in this box, and I can shove them all away to the side to keep my desktop clean, or I can get they're at my fingertips in a easily identifiable box. And these are the positions I like for these things. I kind of have grown to expect my editor windows to come up here. My terminals, I typically have a ton of terminals open as well. For this demo, I obviously don't, but normally I do. So, my terminals just are right there. And then this is kind of a generic one. This is anything that both does not go into the other icon managers and also does not have this default behavior. It's going to show up in here. So kind of a general, like Firefox and that kind of stuff shows up in here. And another one of my pet peeves with using other desktop environments, I can't stand clutter on the desktop. So I have options available to me that allow me to really manage. My desktop is for organizing and manage my active work that I'm doing. I don't want it cluttered up with icons and stuff that I have to move windows out of the way to get to, that kind of stuff. So this is TWM really provides a lot of flexibility and power in that regard. So I want to talk a little bit about configuration. So I'm going to edit the in my home directory. That little tilde is the syntax for my home directory. There's a .twmrc file. The entire configuration for TWM is in that one file. I'm going to edit it. And just a quick scroll through. That is it. That is the entire configuration for the entire desktop environment. Just gonna get some position here. And here's some basic configuration options. So, like for instance, opaque move. That one is the one that says, when I move a window, show the contents while I'm moving it. It's kind of nice. No raise on move. That's the thing that allows me to move the window without raising it to the front. No raise on resize. That one, I do the exact same thing with resizing. Again, I'm not going to show resizing, but I could actually resize this window behind the other one without bringing it to the front. Again, very powerful. Here's some particular programs that I don't want them to have a title bar. So no title allows me to do that. There's an example. So here's GCRL-M, or I don't know how you pronounce that, but anyway, it's a system performance monitor. This is the kind of thing that you don't want all this stuff around it, so I just turn that off, and TWM lets me do that. Makes it look real nice. So kind of cool. Fonts. There's a bunch of different fonts you can set. Colors. And these are just RGB values. There's plenty of websites out there that you can actually see a web page that has little color swatches, so you can eyeball the colors that you like, and it shows the codes next to them. You can just put those codes in. Very easy to configure. Some button definitions, and all of this configuration is very clearly documented in a nice man page for TWM. So here's my icon manager configuration. So it's pretty simple, and the only thing left is all these menus. And you can see I'm just gonna go down to my main menu. This is this menu here, and you can see how easy it is. So I to launch a program, that's what this fexec is. And basically, you call. I mean, these are the programs that are being launched, and a lot of these are scripts. So you're it's possible to to pack the details of exactly how you want a program to be launched. You can pack it into a script and simply just call a script from the menu. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. And then this is how you do a submenu. Very simple. So for instance, here's my tools menu, and the tools, here's the text that shows up in the menu. This is the name of the menu that submenu is going to be made of, and that menu is just up here, further up here. So yeah, there's my tools menu, and then this tools menu in turn has another submenu, WinOps, and that's just this menu here. So what that looks like is here's my tools, there's my WinOps. So yeah. Oh yeah, a little brief about the actual WinOps menu. So let's say every once in a while something funny happens, and a window ends up being half off screen, so you can't get to the title bar. If you get into that situation, this WinOps menu gives you some interesting things that you can do with Windows. Without. I mean, this gives you external control of Windows. So I can pick this move option, and then notice my cursor here has changed, and I can grab a window and move it without the title bar. So there's that. It's hard to think of anything easier. Now, I realize that, admittedly, you have to be able to read and edit a text file. I just, could consider the ability to read and edit a text file to be about as fundamental in this information age where computers are becoming such a big part of our lives. This, the ability to read and edit a text file is about as fundamental as being able to walk across the room in the real world. So I don't consider having to read and edit a text file to be, a problem or a handicap or anything. In fact, it's very simple. It makes the details of configuration extremely accessible. So. And it's also very in keeping with the Unix mindset. I mean, you have a text editor, very fundamental, simple tool that you should be fluent with, and then oodles and just vast range of configurations that you can edit with that text editor. So, I mean, that's in keeping with the Unix mindset. So, just a quick little mention. We've already seen this, but I just wanted to call it out that even though TWM doesn't do a lot, that doesn't change how programs that are actually designed to be, graphically intensive, like a web browser, or something like GIMP, which is very graphically intensive. They still look just fine. Their operation, the graphics capabilities of the programs themselves is completely separate from the window manager itself. So just because TWM is lean, simple, and minimal doesn't mean that the rest of the graphically intensive programs can't do their thing. They can. So I just wanted to mention that. Let's talk briefly about resource usage. And let me yeah, I guess there. So I've got 6 cores. They're kind of bouncing around a bit. This is we can see that most of that is FFmpeg, and X is up here because it's cooperating with FFmpeg, feeding the X activity into the video recording pipeline. This is where most of my CPU work's being done right now, is in actually capturing this video. This is my webcam, streaming the live video here. That's hopefully reflective of my presence in this video. That's the intent anyway. Firefox is doing a little bit in the background there. Even my HTOP that's showing this usage is actually doing a little bit of work. Where's TWM? It's not anywhere in the top here. Where is it? Let us find it. There it is right there. You can see in terms of percentage, it's using pretty much nothing. Look at the memory footprint here, a little bit of shared memory. This is literally 1 meg, or almost 2 meg of memory. 3 meg of resident memory. 36 meg swapped out for stuff that TWM has in reserve. If it needs it, it pulls it back in. But I mean, literally, look at this resident and shared memory footprint. It's literally nothing, and it's not using any CPU. I mean, this is literally about the leanest, tightest, lean and mean desktop environment you could hope for. So I just wanted to show that. And that should cover what I wanted to cover about TWM. I want to thank you for watching and listening, and please feel free to make comments in the comments section. Also, I'm happy to answer questions, and if you like, I can share my TWM configuration, or just any other ways that I can help in understanding or using these kinds of this approach to the computing experience. Hopefully it's helpful, and stay tuned for more videos in this series, kind of with the same theme, around Slackware Linux and related topics of how to do quite a bit with very little. So see you next time. Thank you.